Welcome to the Online Entrepreneur Experience podcast that details the ins and outs, the how-tos, and the ups and downs of living a life of an online business owner.
What's going on, everybody? Are you pumped to be here? And you're actually here with us in the daytime. Normally we shoot these things at night. That's why we usually have some bags under our eyes. But today you get to see my morning bags and some morning energy that Renee and me always joke about. So I radiate the energy in the morning, so you guys get that. Welcome to Deuces, big episode of how he's going to be showing you guys about some planning or organization and some execution or practice, whatever you want to go with it. We're gonna get wild, we're gonna get freaky, so just strap right in. It's gonna be fun. What do you think, bro? You pumped?
I don't know how freaky we're gonna get, but
my hair's pretty freaky today, so we're already on a kind of good wavelength there.
Yeah, and I mean, it's what time is it? 9 o'clock in the morning.
9 a.m., bro.
So we've been up for a few hours now, and I've already tried mowing my lawn, and it's so much, and it's already so hot out where we live. So it's gonna be a scorcher. It's gonna be fun.
Another beautiful day. But it's funny, guys. Like Renee started on his lawn yesterday, but with out doing what we're about to talk about, he did not get the results he wanted, right, bro?
That's 100% correct. It was about 34 degrees yesterday. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit. I'm sure Mark can figure that out real quick. I see him clicking away on his computer there. And I didn't plan it out very well. I just knew it needed to be done. So I started it. And I've got about a half acre of land and just a push mower. So it takes a long time. And doing it in the middle of the afternoon in 34-degree weather is it was very hot. It was very, very hot. I could only do a couple strips at a time, have to go take a break. So there was no planning, there was only execution, and it's still not done.
And that's the reason why, because if he would have planned a little bit better, or organized himself a little bit better, he would have got it done yesterday, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
And that's where it's just like every day we have a certain amount of tasks that we need to do, and putting them in the correct amount of order, it definitely makes the difference. I did look it up, bro. Take a wild guess. What do you think it is?
I'm gonna guess it's 92.
Whew, you're pretty close, man. 93 degrees.
Oh, not too bad. Not too bad at all.
For sure. So lead us off, man. Tell us a little bit about what's on your mind with the organization and the executing.
Well, organization, I look at it as the same thing as creating a plan for what you're going to be doing, what task you have. Now, you can create that plan and be organized first thing in the morning and write down almost like a to-do list and prioritize that. And then as far as your execution, that's when you decide, okay, well, we talked about it last time, where your energy is at the highest peak. That's when you need to be doing the tasks that need the most energy, like mowing your lawn.
And I mean, like, that's something I touched on last week, is the energy. And we did touch on a larger section on scheduling a few weeks back too. So I'll put both of those episodes in the bottom for you guys to give a watch to. But why don't you tell us about, is this something that you think should be done for every item, or is this like when you come down to the practice and everything like that, is that just for like athletes and stuff like that, or is this every kind of scenario?
It works for almost every scenario. There's some things that you can't just sit down and write out a plan and figure out which one you're going to do first. But in my opinion, it's more for the bigger tasks that you have lined up for yourself, whether it's mowing your lawn, whether it's getting ready for a big party or a big event. You need to have that organization and plan in place. Otherwise, things are just going to be chaotic. And that's just starting with your plan. So if you're doing something like, I got to go do the dishes, you don't need to write out your plan of, I'm going to start with cups and then I'm going to wash the plates. You don't need to go too crazy with that. It's mostly for how you're going to run your business, your fitness plan, whatever it is that you've got going on in your life right now. So once you have that plan, then you just create which one you're going to do first, your execution plan, I guess you can call it. And then if it's something that takes a little bit of time in order to build up a skill set, that's when the practice comes into place. So execution and practice is kind of hand in hand, because if you are going to be doing something that you have never done before and you are executing it all the time, every day, then that is how you are practicing that skill set. And then eventually it becomes an innate ability, if that makes sense.
Yeah, man. So much so. And I'll just break a little bit of that down for everybody, because you just put so much info in that, like, and it's great stuff. But like, one of the big things, like the out of planning, is what he's trying to say is, you don't have to plan every second of the day, but plan your events, right? Like, it's about like when you're going to be doing things, not how you're going to be doing things. A lot of people focus so much so on that how, and that's really good. That's really going to prevent you. And so it just like goes for, like, say, copywriting, and I'll just let Renee kind of execute that a little bit there. Is like when you're planning to do your copyright, you don't have to plan like which stage of the copyright you do. You plan when you're going to be doing it. Is this correct?
Yeah, exactly. So when I'm doing my ad copy, it's just, I set aside a time when I know my energy is at its peak, my creativity is at its peak. And during those moments, doesn't matter how long it really takes you, but during those moments, that's when you write out your ad copy. And I have a certain way of how I write mine. I'm not saying it's the only way, but when I'm in that creativity moment, you just let it flow. You just start writing, and there is no real plan as to how it should be structured. But the plan that we are talking about is just using your energy and your creativity when it's at its peak.
So do you think like overthinking those kind of things, like over planning those things, can actually lead to like a drag?
Oh yeah, 100%. Because if you are too worried about the actual structure of it, and you're trying to give as much value as you can, which you kind of should be, if you can get writer's block. I've had that so much. And then you sit there and you start to really, really, really overthink every step of the way. And if you are writing ad copy, this is going off on a little tangent here. If you're writing ad copy and you find yourself stuck, it's best to just step away. Just go do something else, knock something else off your to-do list, and you can go back into it. And that usually helps me to get back into that creative flow.
Massive. Yeah, totally, man. I think like when you practice enough, you find the right flow that you're going to do. Like sometimes, like, and we're using ad copy or copywriting for content just because it's easy, because pretty much every entrepreneur has to do it. But like in the end of the day, like this morning I wrote a post, and it had like I literally made the bottom middle first, and then I went up and then down. But it was essentially like I wrote a Twitter post, and then I wrote a Facebook post around my Twitter post, essentially. And that's like sometimes what it is. And sometimes you get the idea and then it stems off. And sometimes you get the hook that you want at the bottom, and you just build off that. And I think too often, if you tell yourself you have to do it one way, right? Like you really strap yourself in, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Because if you are super structured with your plan, instead of planning the event or the task, you're planning each little step of that task, you can really get overwhelmed. And just like how Mark said, he doesn't start at the top and work his way down like I do. He gets his ideas off of his Twitter posts, or maybe it's a video that he watched and he liked something that someone said. So he'll just write that out and let the creativity flow.
And in the end of the day, like, I think this is the biggest thing is, there's right for you, and then there's right for everybody else. And the only thing that matters is right for you, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because there is no wrong way of doing it. A lot of people, and I know Mark has seen this too, they get overwhelmed with perfectionist or the perfectionist syndrome, where they worry too much about using this word versus this word, and they'll go searching up synonyms and stuff, and just get it out there. The message is clear, the message is there, and you just got to send it, because when you're overthinking, that's going to halt you completing that task.
That's totally. I love that. I love that so much, because I think that when people start thinking about organization, I think they get too overwhelmed by it. So I think that's massive. And if you guys didn't catch that, like what Renee said is you need to be organizing and planning everything, but just not everything within everything. It's just the main events. And then just let the creativity flow, let your happiness flow, let your abundance flow through it all. And then you'll get those goals and everything like that you want. So what is, in your opinion, like the specific goal or purpose for why you plan or organize stuff?
Well, as an example, if you do not plan, you'll end up just executing. And executing without a plan, you'll be stepping over yourself. You'll be redoing certain things. Like I'm still not done my yard.
Which is like hours later, right? Waste of time, right?
That's exactly it. So if you do not have the plan, then I like to use an oak tree as a metaphor for your goal or your whatever you're trying to achieve.
You kind of look like an oak tree, like so strong and sturdy.
Yeah, that's right. So the plan or being organized is the trunk. Like that is the key thing. You can have a branch kicking off, but if you don't have a strong trunk, that branch is going to fall. And without that plan, I like to say you're a leaf blowing in the wind. You have no idea. You are just going to end up where you end up, and you have no control over it. So the organization and having a plan is a way for you to structure your day, so you are maximizing your time and maximizing your efforts.
So I love that. And I'm going to go the flip side of it. So like, that's what you get for the maximize. So, and you kind of touched on a little bit, but I want you to go a little bit deeper.
Deeper.
I love how I went deeper and I went softer and you went deeper. So good. I'm glad you're prepared to go deep. Anyways, what would be like the negatives if you're not planning? Like what are those catastrophic things that can happen for you? Like what waste, what negatives all pop out there?
Just kind of what I briefly touched on is how you have no structure for your day. If you have a podcast to record, if you've got a lawn to mow, and you've got a party to plan, which is all things that I have going on. If you don't have a plan, at the last few days, you're going to be scrambling, trying to get things done. And you are going to end up redoing a couple things, because without that plan and just sending it and having that execution, that's when the overthinking happens, because you never created your organized plan in the first place.
Totally makes sense. And I think that's massive. I think we talk about doing that extra 2% all the time, and like how like it takes you, that extra 2% may take you that massive effort to do, just because usually it's like you getting over your own self, but then you end up getting like 7x times more of the results, right? Like if Renee wasn't planned, I'm sure this party this weekend that he's got going on wouldn't be happening at all. Like there would be some of the stuff that he's got has had happen this week would be really shitty if it came up, pun intended.
Unintended.
So on the other side of things, like, so what is the goal, the purpose of the executing and practice? Actually, before I even ask that question, why do you couple practice and execution together? Because I think there's a very massive good reason for that. And I think a lot of people have fears all tied into it, right?
Yeah. So the reason why I couple execution and plan there is because when you have a task, we'll go back to copywriting. If you have that task of copywriting and you are now executing it, you're writing it out, that is you practicing, because you need to get better at it. If you're first starting out, You're not going to be good at it in the beginning, but you just need to execute it, put it out there, and then next time you'll learn a little bit. You'll decrease the time it takes to write it. You'll write better. How do I say it? Like your vocabulary will increase because you are constantly writing and you're researching and all that stuff. So after a year of doing copywriting, you'll be so much better than where you were a year ago. So if you are doing any sort of task, it's about execution and just get it out there, because that is your practice, because nobody's good right off the bat. Not even Kobe.
Kobe wasn't. Actually, he was horrible when he was 13 years old. If you guys go back when Kobe was 13, and you guys all get to see the end prize, but he was really bad. Like, he wasn't on the spectrum of anybody. If his dad wasn't like a professional athlete prior to, he wouldn't have been on anybody's radar. But it was like he was surrounded by so many good people that he knew that he had to ride to the level, and he just put in the reps. And that's exactly what Renee is saying. The more that you execute, the more reps you put in, and that's why they're coupled together. And I love that, because most people don't think like that. They just think that I have to do it once and then it's done. But no, like, you have doing this one time, it's this ripple effect for like ever. You're now better forever. Which is massive. So what is the purpose and to execution? Tell me, what is the goal, the purpose? Like, why is it good to be doing that?
Just kind of like what I said, it's about getting in the reps, executing, because you can be stagnant if you overthink. You can have the perfect plan. You know exactly what you're doing for the day, but if you aren't doing it, what's the point of making the plan? There's absolutely no point in creating a plan without executing those tasks that you put on your to-do list. So execute, guys. Like, too many people, they sit back in their comfort zone and they're like, okay, well, I know I need to do this. They're like, ooh, something shiny.
Yeah, that's totally it, bro. Like, every day, man, you see that, right?
Yeah, every day. And it's the distractions in life can really hinder your success. So I don't know if I want to bring him up again, because I always do, but Alex Hermazzi, his office is a closet, and it's a closet because there's no windows, because he gets way too distracted. So when he's working, he makes every effort possible to remove those distractions so that he can execute, so that he can do what he needs to do in order to succeed.
Amazing. I was just telling my son about Alex Hermosi this morning. So it's awesome. Cool, man. No, I think those things are so powerful. And those are the things that I even still get caught up to this day, like having issue with, is like, I'll often make a plan and then just not execute around that plan. And it's not that I'm not executing, because we're always doing things regardless of whatever we're doing stuff, but is it the right stuff, right? Is it the stuff that's actually going to move that needle, like going to get you to the place that you want to be, right? So why do people not do this? Like, it sounds so simple, like just plan and go execute, like, pretty simple. So why do people just not do this?
Well, I'm not other people, but I would assume that it's out of their comfort zone. They're so used to being told what to do and when to do it with their 9 to 5, that when it comes to doing something for themselves, it's very difficult, especially when you first start out. It's very difficult to know what the priority is. It's difficult to build up that skill set of planning, and then the execution, there's just way too many distractions. So I think people don't follow this simple system of organize and execute, mainly because they are in their comfort zone and they're totally comfortable where they are. Even though they're unhappy, they're comfortable, and so they don't follow through with what they know they need to do.
No, man, I love that. And I think it's so true. It's keeping them in a reactive environment instead of a responsive one. And I think the majority of people choose to stick in reactive mode, and reactive is so leads to burnout, like, all the freaking time, right?
Yeah, I used to always talk about my siblings and say, well, this one is very proactive. They plan out what they're going to do as far as employment or where they're going to live. They have it all planned out. And then I have other siblings that are reactive. So something happens, they have to react. Something happens, they have to react rather than planning it out. So much so that if something does happen, they've already got a plan in place. They already know how to execute. They already know what they need to do. And those are the siblings that are successful.
I was going to say that. I'm going to guarantee those are the ones that are the successful ones.
Yeah. Like my older brother, he owns a Subway. That's not like super successful, but it's still pretty successful, and he wants even more. So he hired the right people to run his business for him, and he's working for somebody else still, but he's making good money because he's got dual income, and he has planned that out in such a way. But then other siblings, like I said, something happens, they have to react.
And those are the people that are always left. Why me? Why is this always happening to me? And it's just like, well, we are a victim of our own circumstance, right? We create it, and for the good or the bad, we're a victim of it, right? So no, I think that's super money, like right there. So what is the substantial difference between planning and organization? Like if you don't do that, like if you are planned and you're organized, or if you're not planned, is it just those catastrophic differences, or like catastrophic failures that happen along the way if you're not set up for that?
So the difference between being organized and planning is, my wife runs a bookkeeping business, and she tries so hard to express to her clients to do it a certain way because it's going to be way more organized. But she has no control over what they're actually going to do. So you can be organized with everything that you're doing, but if you don't have the plan of, trying to think of a good example here, but if you don't have a plan of how you're going to run your business and who you're going to hire, and being that proactive mindset to come across certain things, if you don't have that, but you're organized, you've got all your receipts in order, but it's still so chaotic because you've got like 17 different business accounts with the bank, credit cards and whatever else, you're not planning very well for future success.
For sure, man. I think the day-to-day versus long-term, and you need to have them both in check. No, man, that totally makes sense. So if you could leave everybody with one hack, one secret to making their life better in this with this kind of state, what would you say?
I would say get a morning routine, because that morning routine is when you plan out your day. And if you don't have time in the morning to do it, I highly recommend doing it the night before. Right before bed, you can take an inventory of how your day was. Did you finish all the tasks on your organized and planned out to-do list? And if you didn't, what is important enough to make it to the next day? And you plan out your next day in the evening so that you are hitting these tasks every single day and executing them and just have an abundance.
I love it, man. I love it. I think the morning routine is such a massive thing. I've been seeing so many people take stances against morning routines lately, and I'm like, you're a fucking idiot. Like, excuse my language, but I'm like, they're just doing that just so they can like make a counterpoint, and it's not serving anybody. And I just like, those are those things I really despise. It's like just people taking a stance to take a stance instead of like actually helping people, when a morning routine like helps people so much so.
Yeah. And honestly, there's no such thing as an easy button. There's no special pill that's going to make you successful. There's no certain program that's going to all of a sudden 6 clicks to $6 million. It's all about the hard work. And these are just simple tips and tricks to help you get that success. So just have your morning routine, organize and plan your day, execute so that you can practice and build up that skill set until it becomes a habit and you're successful.
I love that, man. I think that's so key, so key. And that's long-term, guys. It's not like 5 days to 5 million. It's 5 months or 5 years to get into where you want to be. So I think that's awesome, man. I really appreciate all that type of stuff. And like you said, those fundamentals are what is going to give them the freedom fundamentals that we give you guys on this podcast. Was there anything else that you want to say to everybody before we let them go?
You just dropped the bomb right there. Freedom fundamentals. I freaking love that.
We'll just coin it, bro. Just like your choose to make the choice, right?
Yeah, that's
just
right.
Coining things every week, bro.
Freedom fundamentals, guys. One last thing. Again, I want to remind everybody to get in the comment section, because once we hit 2,500 subscribers, we will be giving away a $100 gift card. So get in the comments. Let us know what you thought about this podcast or any of our other podcasts. And maybe even put in a topic that you want us to talk about. What's weighing on your mind? And you never know, you could be the one who wins that $100.
We love to give. We love to give here. Anyways, guys, we will see you next week. We appreciate you guys. Love to have a conversation with you in the comment section, but we will see you guys next week. Thanks for tuning into the Online Entrepreneur Experience. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any episodes that we're releasing and any of these amazing pieces of value that we're giving out. And if you could take the time out of your day and leave us a review, we would be so grateful. We look forward to seeing you on that next episode.